Hi there, this is Dave and welcome to the Top 10 Best NES Hidden Gems Part 2. A few weeks back I released the first part, and then I was inundated with comments about all sorts of other hidden gems that I remembered playing back when I was a kid, and then those that I played when I became older, whenever they got translated. There's just so many wacky, zany, and downright fun games on this system, I had to make a Part 2. They're not all JRPGs, but they do have that kind of flavor that I enjoy. So let's get started going through and looking back at the library of my very first console. Number 10, Destiny of an Emperor. What a fun game this is. Many times as a kid, I shied away from games taking place in China for whatever reason. Maybe I thought that they would be too complex or weird for me, but the more older that I've gotten, the more that I've looked back into some games that I may have missed. Taking place in ancient China, this game looks and plays just like any other Dragon Quest game, except for the battles. You can recruit up to 5 generals, and instead of damaging their HP whenever you attack, you instead kill their soldiers. Also, instead of magic, you have tactics to use, which do the same sorts of things that spells would do. And, as a quality of life improvement, there is an all-out command that essentially works as an auto battle. It's pretty cool, and if you're at all interested in the time period, do check it out. Number 9, Willow. This is such a fun game, which is really quite the shock considering that it's based off of a movie, and back when, if any game was licensed to a movie or a TV show, it was guaranteed to be absolute gutter trash. Willow is the exception to this rule though, actually following the story of the movie pretty well. At first glance, you might think that it's just a Zelda clone, but it's a whole lot more. This is a role-playing game in the vein of Crystallis, with equipment upgrades, magic spells, and enchanted items. But it works just slightly differently than the norm, because you actually gain sword proficiency as you use it. When you first get a new sword, that slow bitch Willow won't be able to wield it well at all, but after a while, he'll be swinging his arms quicker than a puffer at a porn convention. Number 8. Feria, a world of mystery and danger. Do you like Zelda, Final Fantasy, or Crystallis? Well, what if they just combined all those games into one, then ramped up the difficulty to like 1,000? Do that, and you have Feria. Yeah, you have your typical overworld filled with castles, towns, and dungeons, items to buy, equipment to upgrade, and spells to learn, but the battle is where it shines. Because while this might look like a Dragon Quest clone, it's actually action-based, and you fight monsters on screen in an overhead Zelda-ish way. That is, until you enter the towers, and then here you're permanently placed in battle mode as you explore the mazes, solve the puzzles, and beat some bitches up. I will say though, that the developers had some grandiose ideas, and it can be a bit complex, so do what I couldn't do back in the day, and play this with a guide, and I think that you'll have a good time. Number 7. Little Ninja Brothers. Another NES game, another action RPG. But this one's different, I guess. It's kind of like Tales before Tales was even a thing. At first glance, you're going to think that it's just another Dragon Quest clone, and yeah, it does look that way, but just under the surface, it's so much more. You can control both Jack and Ryu using 2 players to kick ass in tandem as they adventure through Chinaland to save the Emperor from the evil Yoma clan. So not only is this thing 2-player, but there is a ton of variety in the battles. Most of the time you'll be kicking the shit out of the Yoma clan in a side-scrolling manner, but they switched it up with turn-based battles too. Also, if it's too difficult, or you don't have a friend to play with, feel free to choose easy mode. Little Ninja Brothers does not take itself too seriously, and it's full of that 80s cheesy Japanese humor. Number 6. Sweet Home. Sweet Home is a game that I heard a lot about over the years, but I never really thought that I would personally care for it. Normally, I like bright, cheery, uplifting experiences whenever I consume media, not anything from the horror genre. However, curiosity has killed the cat, and one day I settled down and I gave it a go, and this is an oddball. It's based on a Japanese horror film about a team of filmmakers trying to explore and escape a mansion, but now it's presented in the JRPG format, along with permadeath, limited resources, and having to switch each character out to utilize their special abilities to help out everybody else. This is survival horror before that was even a thing. You can group your characters together, set them off to explore alone. It's up to you. You can go in whatever order you want in this Metroidvania open world RPG. The way out of this not so sweet home is up to you. Number 5, Zexy. In part 1, I highlighted a space shooter, exploration hybrid game that I loved as a kid, The Guardian Legend. And here's yet another one. Well, The Guardian Legend was pretty gritty, and the storyline, if you delved into it, was also kind of heartbreaking. Zexy is lighthearted and fun. My kind of game. There's a lot going on here. Each stage is split between straightforward shooter segments and much more open-world platform segments, where the real gameplay begins to shine. You explore the 5 islands, buy weapon upgrades, save some fairies, and then beat a non-linear mazy castle. It's kind of wacky and a little bit crazy, but back then, we didn't really care too much about what was actually going on in the game, as long as it was delivered in the fun factor, and this super Zexy game does. Number 4, Silvia Saga. Here's another Japan-only game that I actually wrote a walkthrough for. Yeah, there was a time long ago before I even thought of ever making a YouTube channel that I wrote a few walkthroughs for games that didn't have any. It was quite a learning experience, and I don't think that I would ever do it again, but I will say that Silvia Saga deserves that guide. The music's upbeat, and the movement rate is fast, and it's just fun as hell. Though the party system is really weird. You'll just be like walking along, and all of a sudden some randoms out of nowhere will be like, hey, can we join your party? And of course you say yes, so you leave your previous guys where they are. But it's strange because it just doesn't matter at all. All the new guys that join are the exact carbon copies of the old ones, so it's like, why bother? But anyway, if you like some old school goodness Dragon Quest clones, have a blast with this one. Number 3, Momotaro Densetsu Peach Boy Legend. Peach Boy Legend? Is this a game made about me? I'm only joking, but for real, what a name. Anyway, this is another Japan-only gem, translated to English, which is actually turned into quite a long-running series nowadays, spanning 6 games over in Japan. It's really a shame whenever these great games just languish overseas, though. As for the name, you play as a boy who kind of popped out of a peach. But whatever, this is a Dragon Quest clone through and through, taking place in ancient Japan though, and it has one-on-one turn-based battles. All told, this is the oldest game on this top 10 list, and as such, it's probably aged the worst, but I like Dragon Quest. There's just something adorable in its simplicity. So whenever I find a game that can build off of its charm and create a long-running series, I just have to highlight it so that other people can appreciate it too. Number 2, Chronicle of the Radia War. This is an absolutely beautiful Japan-only action RPG that's pretty ahead of its time. Think Secret of Mana, but before the SNES. Only you have control of 5 heroes now instead of 3. The world is a joy to explore, vivacious and full of life, and the battles where it really shines. You'll be out exploring the overworld kind of like Zelda, only for random encounters to ensue, where you can then use your party members to slaughter them indiscriminately. All of your party members use different attacks, like swords, magics, or boomerangs. And like many NES games, the story really isn't anything to write home about. Basically, you crash land into a fantasy land, get amnesia, meet a princess, collect some keys, and save the world. While a lot of games on the NES haven't really aged all that well, I do think that this one in particular has aged much better than the rest of the pack though. And number 1, Double Moon Densetsu. By now, it should come as no surprise to anybody that I love Dragon Quest. I love the series, and I love games that are inspired by it. And that's just exactly what Double Moon Densetsu is. Taking place in the world of sword and magic, or Double Moon, you play as Jules, whose father and sister have both vanished. While some Dragon Quest clones are super simple cash grabs, you can really see the quality that went into this work. It's balanced nicely, and the random encounter rate is not through the roof either. Also, it came out pretty late in the NES's life cycle, in 1992, and that's actually 2 years after Dragon Quest IV and 1 year after Final Fantasy II came out. so they had plenty of time to really put the polish on. I know that if this was released in America back whenever I was a kid, I would have been all over it. But back when the patch was released for it, I could not get pulled away from it either. The nostalgia of those games are just too strong. Well, that's it for the best hidden gems on the NES Part 2. If you like this video and wanted to hear on the channel, please consider supporting me over on Twitch for some streaming fun, checking out Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content, or coming on over to Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them can be found in the video description. This has been David, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.